Hello and welcome to the It's Your Effin' Journey podcast. My name is Melissa Hemming, and if a life coach and a therapist had a baby, you get me. So excited to welcome you here today. I have an incredible interview ahead of schedule. An incredible interview that I did with the amazing Hildee Weiss. She has such an inspiring story about it's never too late to try new things, to do what's on your heart, and to really go after a different life. And I'm so excited for you to hear this conversation. I wanted to let you know just before we start, don't forget I have exclusive content. For $10 a month, you support the podcast, and I do an extra 2 bonus exclusive content episodes a month. Sometimes more, depends how much I have to say that month. Sometimes they're like, shut her up. But it is really a place where I can be even more unfiltered. I know a lot of people are like, I can't believe how much you share on social media. Well, exclusive content, people hear it all. So if you are interested in that, the link is in the show notes. I'd love to see you in there. And I am offering, so I just wrapped up an amazing 5-day group. It was training your mind like you train to run. And it was a group about mindset and shifting your thoughts, paying attention to the thoughts that you think, and really stepping out of the week feeling more empowered and unstuck in your life. And I had such a great time. I'm so grateful for the people who joined me. I love you guys who I sort of am so impulsive and random, and I, really take, what's the word? Notes. I don't know, whatever I take information. I information gather from my therapy sessions, and I say, okay, this is something that the world needs, or this is something that women need. And because I see themes, and a lot of people think that their struggles are so unique, and they're really not. Of course you are unique, but your struggles aren't unique. And it's really good to get around a group of women and have the support. I loved being part of this group and watching them have these changes and really come together as a community. It was so cool. So it will not be the last time that I run that group. But what I'm offering now is actually clarity calls. So what that looks like is just a one-time call with me to get you a plan to move yourself forward. So if you're feeling like maybe you don't know the next best step, or maybe you need a good session, maybe you need some good tools. I'm not sure. But whatever you need, I've got you in that clarity call, and I want to help you get some momentum to move forward. So if you're interested in that, I don't have a form, but you can send me a message to the show notes. You can send me a message on social media. You can write me an email. Hopefully you're on my email list. I send out a weekly email every Monday just with all of my current offerings, the new podcast, hopefully some helpful tips, the swag website, and we're getting more swag soon. So lots of exciting things going on and ways to join me. So let me know if you're interested in one of those clarity calls, because I'm excited to move those forward. And if you are local, I know some people ask me, are you still doing your one walk therapy sessions? If you are local and you want to make that clarity call in person, hike, walk, I'm happy to do that too. Not that I don't recommend it, and I still can definitely get you the resources that you need afterwards. Sometimes it's more helpful to be on Zoom so that you can write things down and take notes and use those to move you forward. But if you're someone who's like, I want to be in the woods, healing and talking and learning and growing, I support that fully. You just let me know and we'll go from there. But without further ado, what time is it? Podcast time. It's a celebration. What time is it? Podcast time. Let's go meet Hildee. Hello and welcome to the It's Your Effin' Journey podcast. I have Hildee Weiss with us today. I am so excited to chat with you. I found you on Instagram, and I think my first message to you was come on my podcast because I was fascinated. You are an author, a runner, a mom of five.
Yeah.
And I just was like, you are the
kids.
Perfect person to come and share your story on this podcast. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It's great to be here, and I was so humbled when I got your message, and I felt like that Sally Field moment saying, "Yeah, you like me, you really like me."
Well, I love to celebrate women doing cool shit and running and writing books and just putting yourself out there. I just love to, to learn about women and how they came to be. And I started reading your book. It's so good. And I just want to hear I want to
Thank
hear all
you.
about it. So tell us your story. Is that a lot of pressure? Tell us run.
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? So I will try to make some bullet points. I grew up in a suburb of Detroit, Michigan, in
Okay.
Southfield. Met and married my husband. I was 20, and we moved to Cleveland, where he's from, and we've been living there since. We're celebrating 37 years of marriage next month. I'm 57, and I was not very athletic as a kid. I mean, I liked playing baseball as part of our, phys ed, but we didn't really have teams. I certainly did not run. I was on the slimmer side, and then when I graduated from high school and I spent a year abroad in Israel, and then through college, I started to put on weight, and I was not moving at all.
Mm.
And then I think when I was pregnant with my daughter, who is now 31, I finally I think I was getting a little bit of too much hinting from my doctor at the time, saying, you're a big person, you're going to have a big baby, and I just got really, really scared and freaked out and thought,
While
oh, I
you're
better do
pregnant?
something about it. Yeah, I was pregnant, but I was at my heaviest weight. I weighed about 230 pounds then, and I decided, oh, maybe I should do something healthy for the baby, and to ensure that I wasn't going to get stuck in the middle of giving birth to my daughter because she was going to be too big. So I started doing prenatal aerobics classes during my pregnancy. I just ate healthier. And then the weight actually came off right after I gave birth to her. And then I kind of went back a little back and forth with the pounds during the next few years when I subsequently had 4 more kids. I still was not doing a whole lot for my fitness. That really came in my 40s. I started doing at-home workouts the Leslie Sansone walk at home workouts. I was doing the firm. The running part really didn't start until about 6 months after I started working with my trainer, who I've been with now for 12 years. I had shared a goal with him that I wish I could run, but I gave him a whole list of reasons why I couldn't. I figured I'm going to look silly with my movements. I was worried about how I would look in the clothes. I thought I was going to trip and fall because I was a real klutz. I was hearing all the people that were saying, oh, runners have problems with their knees and their hips. And that was going to be me. So I just never really thought about doing it until he started incorporating little bursts of jogging in my treadmill workouts as part of warming up for our training sessions. And the next thing I knew, he said, I think you should sign up for a 5K. And I was like, what are you talking about? I've never run a mile. He said, well, go run a mile. And I did. And I was pleasantly surprised that I was actually able to do it. And I wasn't all that bad at it. And I did that 5K in May of 2015. And I got hooked.
Yeah.
I did my second one a month later. I started running through my neighborhood, doing a few miles, 3 or 4 miles at a time. And it just seemed kind of effortless. And all of my fears and concerns going into this went out the window because I realized no one was looking at me, and I had just sort of focus on what I was doing and not worry about everybody else.
Yeah. So what hooked you about your first 5K? Was it the community? Was it just that pushing yourself?
Well, it's interesting because I often say that first 5K was something of a out-of-body experience. I was supposed to run it with Jeff, my trainer, and at the last minute he said, oh, by the way, my wife is coming, I'm going to be doing it with her, so you're on your own. And I only found out a few weeks ago by talking to him was that was his plan all along, that, it was something that he felt I was totally capable of doing.
Yeah.
But had I done that with him that first time, I would not have had the experience which I did. So what I do remember of it was the crowd and the support and the excitement, and finishing it was surreal. I have a very good friend, Dina, who is a very accomplished runner. She's run marathons, and I look to her as a role model. And she was waiting for me at mile 3 and ran the last 10th of a mile with me.
Oh, I love that.
Which was so great for me, to have someone there. But I really didn't feel alone as I was doing that 5K, because there were all these other people doing it. And I just sort of had to follow them because I had no idea what I was doing. It's like, this was my first race. And there weren't arrows every 5 feet saying, go here, go here, go here. So it was a really, really great experience. But I think that the second 5K I did a month later was really more of that experience that got me going, because I do remember that glorious feeling of crossing the finish line and running that 5K was pretty much through our neighborhood. So I remember friends and neighbors of mine standing on the street corners, and as I was passing, they were cheering and saying my name. And so not just having the camaraderie of my fellow runners in the race, but also like seeing people that I knew who were rooting for me was great.
Yeah.
So
that's so amazing.
Just amazing.
You can't I feel like you don't get it until you experience it for the first time. And I mean, even as a spectator too. Like there's one of my dear friends is a runner, and she volunteered, or maybe didn't volunteer, but did spectating this weekend with signs at somebody's race, and she was like, it was the best experience ever. You just get those feels of it's like the running support, it's like the energy, it's you can't understand it until you immerse yourself in it. That's why I love races so much.
Right. Yeah. And what's really nice is I've done 5Ks and 10Ks and halves. And I remember, when I did the Rite Aid half marathon in Cleveland, and we were running through a part of, it's called Ohio City, which is probably about a half hour from where I live, and just running around the streets there after coming up this humongous hill, and people were on the streets, and they have no idea who I am, but they're saying you're doing great. And they were doing that for everyone. And there's really nothing like that. And so even when I'm running by myself and I'm not necessarily running with a friend or with a group during a race, I don't feel so alone, because there are those people that are spectating, and it's just such a valuable part of the race experience.
Yeah.
And even when you have the policemen on the street, and they're controlling the traffic, and they're saying hello to you, and I'm thanking them for being out there. There's nothing like it.
Yes. Yeah, it's so amazing. I love it so much. So it sort of snowballed for you. So it was one 5K, then another 5K, and then did you just progress in the distances?
Yeah. So what happened was, look, this certainly was not my idea to do the running. You could say that Jeff tricked me, but it's all taken very well, and I so appreciate, because I think he saw it in me when I didn't have the confidence in myself to try it. So I did the 2 5Ks in that summer of 2015, and we ran sometimes together, and we met after he was done with work one day in August for a mile repeat run in a local metro park. And on the way there, we were in separate cars, and talking on the phone. He said something about I think you're ready for a 10K distance. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Same reaction to the idea of the 5K. He's like, all right, we're going to talk about this. So we wound up meeting up. We did the mile repeat run, and we did the first mile, did a little bit of a break, did the second mile, and then I said, I have to take a bathroom break. And he said, why don't you wait till we're done? It's only 3 miles. And I said, no, I really have to go now. It's like, okay, go quickly. So I go to the restroom. I'm speeding, and I'm so quick. And as I'm coming out, I tripped on the step and went down.
Oh no.
And that was the end of that mile repeat run. And I thought that I had twisted or sprained my ankle. I wound up being misdiagnosed, and 2 weeks into recovering from that, I found out that I broke my foot. And I thought, oh, well, that's really the end of my
Oh my.
running career.
Yeah.
And I was sidelined for about 3 months, and gave it time, gave it patience. And I was really sad when I couldn't run at that point, because I had gotten into it. I was doing it a few times a week on my own, and, starting to look into races. And the idea of doing a 10K was like, okay, like that's not going to happen. But surely enough, when I did come back from recovering, I wound up getting back into it. And I did my first 10K race in May of 2016. And it wound up being my personal best. I've never been able to get that time again, but it was in 57 minutes. And that was amazing, because it was like, here I got from this point to that point. I never really thought I was going to be able to do it. And then the next thing was shortly after Jeff said, okay, I think you're ready for a half marathon. So I don't know what came over me. I think I just kind of said, oh, like, okay. And he wrote up a training plan for me, which I followed to a T. And I did that half marathon with him. It was September 11th. I remember that, 2016. And I just remember being at the starting line of that, being so grateful that the year before I had been in a boot, and I really thought that I was never going to really run again. And here I was, like, getting ready, moments away from doing a half marathon, which is something I just could never fathom before. And we did that half marathon, and then we did some races together. I did, some with friends, and it just sort of, that's the furthest distance I've done. I've never done a full marathon. My half marathon days are behind me, more because the training is just so much. Yeah. The long runs, and it's a far distance for me. So 10K is pretty much my
That's your sweet
maximum
spot.
point. But yeah. But look, they were all great experiences. Each one is different. There was no two races that were ever identical. Even if I did the same race more than once, it just, each one is its own experience.
Yeah.
So
when did you write the book? Tell me about how the book comes into play.
Okay. So the book I wrote in September of 23, and I was in Israel at the time, and I had been writing a blog since 2019 on my fitness journey. And some of my posts there were very, hopefully, funny. Some of them were very deep and from the heart. So I had some friends that had said, like, you have a story here. I mean, you started this a little later in life, and this could be motivating to other people, and you should really, put it out there. And I used my blog. I also used a lot of my Instagram posts, and I just started writing. And I basically took each chapter as a year in my journey, from the time I started in 2014, when I made the decision to do something for myself. I've been a busy wife and mom, and I don't think I was really taking that great care of myself mentally, physically. And my father-in-law actually was the person who had talked to me and said, you know what, you're so busy with everyone else. You need to do something for yourself. And I was like, well, you know what? I had been thinking about going to the gym for something more than a social event or for parenting classes. And I had been thinking about working with a personal trainer. And so I decided, you know what, I made that call, and I was paired up with Jeff, and that was the beginning of a great, great friendship. And the book, I think I wrote it in about 3 months, and it just came to me. And it was a lot of fun, because I was able to go back to the very beginning and revisit and recount the races for each one. And, I was able to see my results from a certain race and then say, oh, okay, this is what I remember about it. And the message of the book was really to do what my friends were saying and hopefully inspire people out there that it's never too late to start on a goal. You're not too old. In my case, it's really about the running and the fitness, but it could be with anything. It could be, if you have a goal and you want to do something, don't think that it's impossible or it's too hard or it's too late, because all you need to do is really take that first step and try it and see what happens with it. And it could be something really amazing.
I love that. I just had a dear friend. He always wanted to do like competitive swimming in high school, and his parents didn't support him for whatever reason. And so this year he was like, I'm going to make this happen. He like hired a swim coach and just did his first competition over the weekend and like got first place and second place. And I thought that was the coolest message of like, there are things I think that either we held ourselves back from or other people held us back from. And, if we limit ourselves to our age, we're holding ourselves back from really building lives that we find meaningful and can get joy from. I was talking to a lady at a race yesterday. She is 71. She started running 10 years ago. And she was like, it's never too late. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, to get an education, to start a fitness journey. And it may not look how you think it's going to look. And I think with running, that's one of the biggest things, the biggest misconceptions that I see. Even people that I see starting out, I'm like, come run a race. And they're like, no, I'm not ready for that. And I'm like, but it's for everyone. Like, it's so inclusive. And that's what I love about the running community. I mean, of course, there are races that have speed requirements or course limits, but there are walkers at most 5Ks. Like, you can do anything from walking to running fast and anything in between.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you know what? I've participated in this race quite a few times. It's around August, and I don't think I'll be able to do it this year, but I've done it a few times, and it's primarily for these track teams from high schools across Northeast Ohio. And I found it on one of these, like running event websites, and I gave it a try. It was in a metro park, actually, but right by where I often run with Jeff. And I went by myself, and I remember, seeing all these teens and thinking like, do I really belong here? And then I saw a bunch of women, and we all gathered together by the starting point, and some of them were saying like, we're going to beat these kids because, they're going to go out too soon and they're going to collapse and we're going to come. And it was for everybody. Was the majority of them teenagers? Yeah. But I had as much of a right to be there as they did. And guess what? I came in first in my age group, even if there are only 2 or 3 other people.
It's all about who shows up, right?
And, right. And I don't think that is something that I ever would have done before I started this whole journey, because I really lacked the self-confidence to believe in myself and to try things and to do things out of my comfort zone. Yeah. So doing things like Spartan races, Jeff would talk about it for quite a few years into our working together. And he would say, we should do one together. And I looked at him like, you have suggested a lot of things over time. And some of them I've gone along with and I've been a good sport. But a Spartan, like, who wants to get all muddy and who wants to like get all scratched up? And then I started to I think I downloaded the app, and I'm like looking at the different moves, and I don't know what possessed me to say, okay, all right, I'll do it with him. And we did the first one in some place in Michigan. Even though I grew up there, I never heard of the place. It was, I think, in 2018 or 19. And I did get all muddy and I did get scratched up, and it was an amazing experience. And the second time we did it, it was a lot grosser because I slipped in the mud, and it was not, I wouldn't even call it mud. That's not being nice to mud. It was like cow dung, I feel like. And it was still so much fun. And I'll tell you something. I could see you doing it. From what I've seen of you, like you would totally ace it. I'm glad I did it. I have no desire really to do it again, but I'm
Yeah.
so glad I did it because it was something that I never would have thought that I could do. And because Jeff believed in me and knew that I could do that, and we did that experience together, I was able to realize it was hard.
Yeah.
Training for it was hard, but it was also so much fun. And the camaraderie there is very different from doing a road race. And it's not like one is better, but I just remember like standing, waiting at the starting line for the Spartan races, and people are shouting "Aroo!" and they're all like riled up, and they're there along the way to help. When we did our first Spartan, we had come out of a dunk wall, which was messy and dirty and gross. And then you go right away to the next obstacle, which was an incline wall. And you hold on to a rope to go up. And, I started to do it, and I felt myself slipping, and I'm trying, and I was like, I can't do this. And Jeff is like, come on, it's okay. And I'll help you. We're allowed to help you. So I got up, I think like halfway, and he grabbed one side of me, and some man grabbed the other side of me, and they helped me get up to the top. And then I was able to get over it. And I don't remember all that came with it, because again, that was sort of another kind of like out of body experience. But Jeff says that was my defining moment in all the time that we've known each other, because he said, here I was like lacking self-confidence. And when I got over that wall and I was able to come down and keep on going on to the next obstacle, he said there was this look on my face like, hell yeah, like I did it. And I don't remember any of it because it was just like something surreal. But doing the Spartans, I probably about midway into our working together, Jeff suggested that I do swimming as part of a cross training exercise because it was not impact. And I resisted that idea because I was like, well, that requires getting in a bathing suit. And I haven't been in a bathing suit in public since I was a teenager when I actually could wear a bathing suit. Why would I do that? And he's like, just try it. And first of all, when I came out of the locker room and went into the indoor pool of our community center, no one was looking. And I went into the water, and I actually took a swimming lesson, and it came back to me. And it was like really decades since I had been in the water and had swum. And I found that I liked it. And I started doing it once or twice a week for quite a few months. I wound up signing up for an indoor triathlon for our community center as a fundraiser. It was right before COVID, and that was something out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I think that along the way of this journey, I've been able to get some confidence that I was extremely lacking before.
Yeah.
Where I'm willing to try something. It may not come off perfect, but I think I have a more open attitude and the willingness to not be so afraid. So it could be that when I'm trail running with Jeff and we're on top of these hilly mountains, I'm afraid of heights, and he always wants to stop and take pictures. And at the lookout point, I'm like, no, I'm not looking. I can't look down. And something like that is like who would have thought that I'd be doing that?
Yeah. Well, and it's like you borrowed the belief from him, right? And that's what I love about running too, is and anything fitness related, is like you don't believe what you're capable of, but like from someone who's done it, like Jeff, or other coaches or trainers or friends, they know that because they did it, you can do it too. There's nothing unique about it, right? It's showing up for yourself and saying yes and trying something new and going outside of your comfort zone. It's nothing. And I always say that because people are like, oh, it's so amazing, you did this and this, and I'm like, you can do it too. There is nothing that I do that you cannot do, unless obviously you're physically limited or whatever. That's a different scenario. but you just
Right.
have to be willing to try, and you have to be willing to show up and see what comes of the journey.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm thinking about this now. Like, I have no idea what I look like when I'm running. I can't
Right.
see myself. When I'm outside, there's no mirrors. When I'm in the gym and there's a mirror on the side, I try not to look at it because I got to look ahead and not trip.
Yeah.
But I think that was part of that fear in the beginning, like, oh, like I'm afraid of what I look like. And honestly, like, no one's
Nobody.
looking. I don't think they're looking at your mobility. I think they're seeing a picture of someone who is hopefully taking charge of their health. They are, I used to look out the window before I started this all, and I would be wistful, and wish that, like, it looks so effortless. It looks so smooth.
Yes.
I wish I could do that, but I
Yes.
didn't think that I could. And then once I started doing it, whatever reservations I had initially were out the window because I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have the music going, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm with friends having conversation.
and it's the training. It's and I don't know what your history like of your whole life was, but I know for me, I was just talking to my son about this the other day. In high school, I signed up for field hockey. They said, "Here's what you need to do to get ready. Go run 4 miles." Well, for someone who's never run 4 miles, I thought, "Oh shit, like let me try this. I'm unable to do it. I'm just incapable. I can't do this, so this isn't for me." It was never like, here's how you build up to 4 miles. It was always just do this. And so I just thought, this isn't for me.
Right.
I'm not a runner. And I tried it a couple times. Like I tried it at that field hockey. I tried doing like another running program a couple years later. Same thing. I couldn't keep up. No one taught me how to build a base of this is how you learn to run. And I feel like that is
Mm-hmm.
so missing in dialogue because, yeah, of course. And you hear people now, I'm sure you talk to people who are like, oh, I can't run a full mile. And I'm like, well, no, you have to train to get there. There may be some people who are blessed with that gift,
Right.
but you have to work for it. So, like, and I hear that a lot with marathons too. Like, I could never do that. And I'm like, well, because you haven't trained for it. You haven't built that base to get
Right.
you to be able to do that. Again, nothing special that I do. It's just that I follow a training plan.
Right. Look, in my case, when I started out with the running, when I said I've never run a mile, so Jeff is like, okay, get on the treadmill and run. I didn't know what speed to put into the treadmill.
Yes.
I don't even remember that experience all that well, but somehow I did it.
Yeah.
And then it was, okay, now I want you to try and do 3.1 miles on the treadmill. And we just set it as the distance, and somehow I did it. And then we did a run together outside. And then the next thing I know, it was the 5K race. And then after that, I just started running outside. I didn't have anything in my mind of, how fast I'm supposed to go, how much time I'm supposed to do it in. I would just run the perimeter of our neighborhood, which was about 4 miles. And sometimes it was 36 minutes. Sometimes it was 37 minutes. The only time, look, as a teen, adolescent, I didn't have sports teams at my school. We had gym, and I was pretty good in kickball and baseball, things like that. And there was a little running involved with that, but I can't really say that I was athletic. And then I put on the weight, so I really was not athletic. And I was avoiding any kind of exercise for years. And I say now, I wish I had started this earlier, but I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And I had to do it at the point that I did now because I have such a great appreciation for what I've gained from it since I started. And I was not in a place in my 20s or my 30s or my early 40s to do that. I had other things going on, and I was not that version of myself now. And I'm just grateful that I'm doing what I'm doing. And I can only look forward and hope that I'll be that 71-year-old lady that you saw. And, I was at a local race several years ago where a woman I think she was about 90, 91, got on the podium to collect her age group trophy. And I remember thinking to myself, I want to be that person. I want to, be doing this when I'm in my 70s, 60s and 70s and 80s. And it may take me an hour and a half to do a 5K at that point. I don't care. I just want
Yeah.
to still be able to do this as long as I can possibly do it, however I do it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Um, so I want to talk about what you said, that the people looking at you, and I love that your example of like doing the swimming, you were like, no one was paying attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like this is a theme, not just in athletics and running and all of that, but also in life. We are so focused sometimes on what other people are thinking. And in reality, people are just thinking about themselves. They're so not
Right.
interested in what you're doing. And when it comes to the athletic stuff, like you said, they're looking at you like you're a badass. They are looking at you like, oh my God,
Yeah.
she is out here doing it. They're not ripping apart
Right.
your form or your body. And even if they are, they're not out there doing it. So I always say, like, there's the cheap
That's right.
seats. And if the cheap seats are talking, let them talk, because they're not out in the ring with me. Until you're out there with me, and I know the ones who are out there are not doing that either, because they know what it's like.
Right. Look, I took up spinning um, probably about 10 years ago. A friend of mine suggested it, and I went to a class and I was hooked. But of course, there was that part of me that thought, oh, I won't be able to keep up. And, how am I going to do the speed? And I remember hearing, quite a few times, no one's looking at your pace. No one's looking at your speed or your resistance. And that's the nice thing about the bicycles. You can kind of, play around with it. But everyone's doing their own ride. And that is something I love about the spinning, whether it's doing it on my own in my house, my Peloton, or being in a class. There's what you initially perceive as being looked at and being judged. It's really not there. I think it's
Yeah.
just our own fears and misconceptions.
Yeah.
And if anything, I think it's the opposite. I think people are looking at you and saying, good for you. Good for you for taking that step and for doing what you're doing. And sometimes people are saying, I wish I could do what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
So
mean,
whether
I know
it's
we
the
talk about this
swimming or
with race times too. It's like nobody cares what your marathon pace is or your half marathon pace. They just are impressed that you did that race, right? It doesn't matter what the
right,
pace is.
right. I mean, look, for a long time, I was giving myself a hard time, competing with myself
Yeah.
and looking at what my paces were when I first started out. And, I was 46 when I started running, or 47, and I'm not doing those paces anymore. And I was hard on myself up until about 2 years ago. And I think I just kept on wondering, like, what's happened to me that I can't do that? And I had to do a tremendous shift, a lot of therapeutic conversations with Jeff also, but realizing I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I'm 10 years older, 12 years older. I've gone through a lot of changes with my body. I'm now, I had a hysterectomy 2 years ago, and I was dealing with things along the way that probably contributed to my not be able to run the paces, hormones, and the recovery from the surgery. My body is not the same. In some ways, it's stronger and it's leaner and it's better than it was when I started. But I'm not the same person that I was then, and that's okay. And I say that there came a point where I looked at running as something that I had to do, and I would always refer to it when I'd go out and run, like, oh, I have to go do 4 miles, 5 miles. And I didn't even realize as I was saying it, but I was putting this like burden on it.
Yeah.
And I had a really tough time after my hysterectomy. I gave myself a few months to recover physically from it. And when that recovery time finished and I was able to run again, something happened with me mentally where I think I was just so afraid, whether it was afraid of doing something to hinder the recovery and wind up in the hospital again, or I put so much doubt on myself, like, oh, I can't run so fast anymore. And I can't go with Jeff's running group because I'm so slow and I won't be able to keep up with them. And I'm not sure exactly where that was coming from. And we had a few very long conversations about it. And Jeff said, like, you need to go back to that version of yourself when you were doing the spinning, when you were doing the swimming, along with the running, because you had more drive then and more confidence, and you seem to have lost the confidence. So I wound up going to a spinning class the next day after not having been on a spinning bike for probably about 4 years. And getting back on that bicycle was medicine for me.
I love that.
And I wound up investing in a Peloton, but I started going to classes when I can. And that was part of what was missing. And I don't know necessarily that gave me the confidence, but I also had to shift my mindset and start to look at running in a different way, so that when I would go running outside, I had to stop thinking about the data and stop looking at my watch to see what my time was or how fast I was going, and take in the other stuff that comes along when you're on a run outside. So saying hello to people, taking in the scenery, the landscaping, the architecture, the homes, and it became something that I got to do. And there was a huge shift after that, because having that appreciation to be able to move however I moved, I stopped that competition with myself and stopped making it about like I have to be the same runner that I was when I started, because I'm not the same runner. You know, I've been through things over time, and I'm older and hopefully wiser.
Well,
and
why do you
these
ever want
days,
to go backwards, right? That's what I always say. Why do you want to go backwards?
Right.
We're moving forward. So whatever we used to do, cool. Let's do something cooler now.
Yeah. But so I look at the running as something I get to do, but it's also something I need to do.
Yeah.
So
I do too.
It's cathartic. A lot of times, sometimes there's just things that are going on in my life, and I need that 30 or 45 minutes to push everything aside and say, this is about me and what I need to do. And I can't totally disregard sometimes and from being distracted, but running has just taken on a whole different meaning, because I'm not thinking of it from a competitive standpoint. I try so hard not to look at my watch. Sometimes if I'm going to, do a certain distance, I may just look to see where I am at that point, but I'm not getting caught up with what my pace is or how much distance I did in a certain period of time, and then have to, figure out the pace. Yeah. It's more freeing today than it was. And I don't know exactly how that whole process happened, but in a way it was good for me, because I had to go through it to get to where I am today.
Yeah. And I love that piece that when you talked to Jeff and he was like, well, what was working then? Because I do that a lot in therapy. If sometimes people come and they say, I've got nothing really going on right now, I'm feeling really good. I'm like, well, what are you doing right now? Because you need to know exactly what works for you so that you can recreate it. And so for you, that was the biking, the swimming, the running, the combination of things. For someone else, it might be something else, right? But it's having that like, oh shit, this is when I feel my best, when I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm the same way. I have to run for my mental health. I don't always want to run. So I have to make it, I have to like dedicate my miles to people, or, channel people who are injured or whatever, or just choose joy and pop on a great playlist and get through the miles. But I know it's something that I have to sort of bring the joy to when I'm not training. That's why I love training, because training like gets me focused and keeps me going. But it's those times when I'm not a training plan, I'm like, how do I keep going? Because the couch is really desirable.
Right. Yes. Yeah. No, I try when, especially when I'm going outside, I try to make that run about something.
Yeah.
Whether it's I just did a 10K a little over 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to be in a 10K race, and it wound up getting postponed. So I wound up doing my own 10K on the treadmill, which is a little tougher to do. I did a lot of my training on the treadmill, But it was a little bit harder
Yeah.
to do the longer miles on that.
Yeah.
But I had decided a few months ago that when I was going to do that 10K, that I was dedicating it to a longtime childhood friend of mine who had passed away a few months ago. Um, I needed to remember her and think of her strength and her resilience when she fought so hard, and unfortunately passed away. But that gave me, first of all, it gave me the motivation to want to do this, to do all the training and to do the actual 10K, but also to, when I would feel tired or a little achy during a training run or during the run itself, I would think of her, and that just like shifted things right away to say like, I'm going to keep on going. She kept on going as long as she could.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the same.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you need that. It was funny. I saw someone in the running community a couple weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, I'm just having a hard time like keeping my running up right now. I'm just trying to be creative. And she was like, she's like, I get it, but she was injured currently. And I was like, that's all I
Mm.
needed. All I needed was to hear her say that she was injured and wish she could be out there. And I was like, all right, mindset shifted. I'm running for you now.
Right, right. I mean, I also, at the same time, I did that race in memory of my friend. I did it in honor of my mom because it was on my mother's birthday. And my
Oh,
mother had broken her ankle a few months ago and had surgery. And it was, tough recovery for her. And luckily she's doing a lot better now. But even though she would never be running anyways, I kind of felt like, you know what, I'm going to run because I can. And like, to honor her. And
yeah.
you know she appreciated that. She's been a great cheerleader for me.
I was gonna say, what does your
And
family think about all of this?
oh, it's so funny. So I will start with well, with my parents. I mean, I was like always falling all over myself as a kid and even as an adult. So when I started running, my mother would like, see my posts on Facebook and like, who are you? Like, who is this person? Because Hildee I know is not an athlete or runner, but she's so proud and she's, really pleased that I'm doing something for myself. My husband, I think, sometimes scratches his head and wonders, who is this person also? Because
Yeah.
when we were dating, we were both living in New York, and he would want to take walks through Central Park and walk, on our dates. And I would always be like, can we take a cab? Can we take the bus? I would try to avoid walking at all costs. And I didn't start really doing this until my 40s. So,
Yeah.
for the first, 2/3 of our lives together, that this wasn't a part of our
Yeah.
routine. But he's so proud of me, and from the get go, he has been, with me. He's driven me to so many of my races. He's been there at the starting line. He's been there at the finish line, taking pictures. If he's not physically there at the races, he's home when I get home, and the first thing he asks is like, "How did it go?" But he's
Yeah.
really, really proud of me and my greatest cheerleader. My kids are all so supportive, and at some point or another, I have run races with them. I've run on treadmills side by side with them, and it's
Oh,
really great. We're talking about doing a fun run together in a few months, and I've never done that before. And they said, "Oh, we'll do it together."
I love
Where
that.
I'm starting to gear up for that. And my grandchildren, I mean, they know that they call me Safta. It's Hebrew for grandma. They know, like, Safta exercises. And I did a 5K with my granddaughter when she was about a year old. She was in the stroller, and I just pushed her for the 5K, and she slept through the whole thing. But I do tell her about it now so that she knows that she participated in that
Yeah,
with
yeah.
me. But
Oh, I
I,
love it.
you know, I have such great support from my family, my friends. And what's really funny is I have quite a few friends who were so active when I wasn't. And they remind me how I would kind of look at them and think like, why are you going to that aerobics class? Why are you going to that spinning class? Why are you running?
Yeah.
And when they see what I'm doing today, they're like, huh, who has the last laugh? Like, you know, I needed to do it in my own time,
Yeah.
but it's, I have a great community. I have running groups that I run with. You know, I've met total strangers who have become friends, and you know, the groups on Facebook and on Instagram, meeting you. It's like, it's just such a wonderful world out there of people who may not even like know each other in real life,
Yeah.
but we find something in common and we're happy for one another. You know, like at times when things are not always so happy and light, like this gives us that light.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. You are amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and
Well, thank
sharing
you.
your story. So, where can people get the book? If I'm going to put your Instagram
Okay,
in the
so,
show
yeah.
notes so people can find you, but how do they get your book? The book is called Embracing My Inner Athlete, right?
Yes.
It's
So it's coming
wonderful.
out on June 9th, but it is available for pre-order already on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Library
Oh,
Tales Publishing, which is my publisher.
okay.
And it's I'm just real excited about it.
I didn't
And
realize it's not out yet. It's a pre
yeah.
thing. It's a pre-order.
No, yeah, it's a little under 2 months, but it is on pre-order,
That's
and
exciting.
it's just like that. This whole thing has been exciting because once I finished it, I wrote it and I thought, all right, I'm probably going to have to self-publish it. I had written 2 books of personal stories of pregnancy loss, which I tried going through the traditional publishing route and it didn't work out, and I wound up self-publishing it, and it was great. And that was another thing. I didn't think I really had the confidence of going through the process of, getting it published traditionally, that someone's going to believe in it. But I found a publishing company that has been invested in me and the book from the get-go. And they've been wonderful to work with. And I'm excited for it to come out. And I just feel like, I just want to inspire people if I can. I hope that my tales are entertaining, but also resonate with people.
Yeah,
And, I,
you did
I'm,
good.
I'm just a regular wife and mom and grandmother who, as I say, I went from couch potato to something of a runner, an athlete, and anyone can really do that. You just have to take that first step.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna, as I said, I'll share your Instagram in the show notes, and hopefully everyone can pre-order the book and enjoy
Thank you.
all the good stuff. Thank you so much. It was so nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you, and I'll see you
Oh,
on the.
it's great meeting you, Melissa, and we have to keep on chatting. I love
Yes.
your reels, and
Thank
I love
you.
your energy, and thank you for finding me and for this great podcast. And
Well, thank
and
you for
I look
putting
forward to
yourself out
hearing
there.
from your audience. Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I sure hope you loved this episode as much as I did. Thank you so much, Hildee, for your time and coming to share your inspiring story. Please go follow her on social media. Pre-order the book. I know I can't wait to get my hands on it because I have the email copy, but I want to read it in the book and read it all. So thank you again. Thank you for listening. And if this message spoke to you, please take a screenshot, send it to a friend, share it on your social media, tag us because we'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for being here. Mwah. We'll see you next week.